There are truths that have shaped empires, principles that have built dynasties, knowledge that has moved in silence through the corridors of power for thousands of years. I'm about to share something with you that most people will never hear, not because it's hidden, but because most aren't ready to receive it. What I'm going to tell you has been whispered in the courts of kings, practiced in the war rooms of generals, applied in the boardrooms of men who control billions, and it's been kept quiet, not through conspiracy, but through silence, because those who know don't speak, they simply do. I met a man 5 years ago. No name, doesn't matter. What matters is he owned 17 companies, never graduated college, started with nothing. When I asked him his secret, he smiled and said, "I learned what they don't teach. I learned what works." Today, I'm pulling back the veil, but understand this. What I'm about to give you is real power, and power without wisdom is destruction. So use this carefully, use this wisely, because once you see it, you can't unsee it, and once you apply it, everything changes. Are you ready? Then let's begin. The first truth they discovered centuries ago is this: your image is your armor. I knew a woman, mid-30s, brilliant mind, but she dressed like she didn't care, spoke like she was apologizing, carried herself like she was taking up space. No one listened to her. Then something changed. She studied how those at the top presented themselves. 6 months later, same person, different presence. Now she runs a firm that does 8 figures annually. What changed? She understood that before anyone hears your words, they see your image, they feel your energy, they judge your value in seconds. The ancients knew this. Every emperor, every ruler who lasted understood: control the perception, control the reality. Your reputation is currency, more valuable than gold, because gold can be stolen. But a powerful reputation, that opens doors gold can't buy. Here's what you must do. Tonight, look at how the world sees you. Your social presence, the way you speak, the way you dress. Ask yourself, does this reflect someone destined for greatness or someone still hoping? Because hoping doesn't work, only doing does. The second principle is ancient as war itself. Think 3 moves ahead. I once sat across from an old man at a cafe. You wouldn't look twice at him, but he told me stories of business deals that would make you question reality. He said, "Most people are playing checkers. They see 1 move. I play chess. I see the whole board. I see 3 moves, 5 moves, 10 moves ahead." He told me about a property deal. Everyone thought he was crazy buying this abandoned building in a dying part of town. 5 years later, the city announced a development project 2 blocks away. He didn't get lucky. He knew. He studied. He saw what others couldn't see because they weren't looking far enough ahead. The scrolls of ancient strategists spoke of this. Every battle is won before it's fought. Victory belongs to those who prepare in silence while others react in chaos. Your move. Before you make any major decision this week, stop. Write down 3 potential outcomes. Think, calculate, then act. Because reactive people are poor. Strategic people are powerful. Be willing to be ruthless when required. Now, I don't mean cruel. I don't mean heartless. I mean this: you must value your time, your energy, your mission above people's feelings. I had a friend who wanted to build something great, but he was surrounded by people who wanted to stay small. Every time he'd try to grow, they'd pull him back. Why are you changing? Why can't you just be happy? They weren't happy for him. They were threatened by him. One day he cut them off, all of them. And people called him cold, called him selfish. But 3 years later, he's free. He built his vision, and the people who called him selfish, they're exactly where he left them. The ancient texts warn us, it is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both, not because fear is good, but because respect is necessary. And people don't respect those who let themselves be walked on. Your task, identify one person draining your energy, one commitment stealing your time. This week, set a boundary or cut it completely. Your future self is watching what you do today. Don't betray them for temporary comfort.
Now we move from power to wealth, and here's where most people lose. I met a man who worked 60 hours a week for 30 years, loyal, hard-working, honest. He died with $47,000 in his bank account. I met another man who worked 20 hours a week, not as honest, not as loyal. He died with $47 million. What was the difference? The first man worked for money. The second man made money work for him. This is ancient wisdom. This is what those in the shadows have always known. Assets versus liabilities. Most people collect liabilities thinking they're assets. They buy a car, depreciates. They buy a house, costs them money every month. They buy things that take. The wealthy collect things that give. Businesses, investments, skills that generate income while they sleep. I watched a young kid, barely 23, figure this out. Worked a normal job, but instead of buying a nice apartment, he lived in a tiny room and bought a duplex, rented out both sides, lived for free. 1 year later, bought another, then another. By 30, he owned 12 properties and never had to work again. He understood what the merchants and moneylenders of old understood. Make your money reproduce. Your action tonight? List everything you own. Next to each item, write one word: gives or takes. If it doesn't generate income, it's taking from you. Then ask yourself, what can I acquire this year that will pay me? That's the question that separates the wealthy from the workers.
The second secret of wealth is this: desire must burn. I knew someone who wanted to be rich, said it all the time. I want to be successful. I want financial freedom. But when I asked him how much exactly, by when exactly, he couldn't answer. Wanting is not enough. Wishing is not enough. The ancient masters of wealth spoke of burning desire, not a casual wish, not a dream, a burning, all-consuming obsession that wakes you up at night, that drives you when you're exhausted, that makes you willing to sacrifice what others won't. Write down your exact number. Not "I want to be rich." No, I will have $100,000 in passive income by December 31st, 2026. Specific, dated, real. Read it every morning. Read it every night. Let it consume you. Because vague goals create vague results. Specific obsession creates specific success. The third key is what the scholars discovered. Specialized knowledge is the only real currency. I'll tell you about two people I met. One had 3 degrees, could talk about everything, knew a little about philosophy, a little about history, a little about business, worked a middle-class job his whole life. The other dropped out of school, but he became the absolute best at one thing: writing sales copy. That's it, one skill. He got so good that companies paid him $50,000 just to write a single email. General knowledge is cheap. Everyone has access to it. But specialized, expert-level mastery of one high-value skill, that's wealth. The ancient guilds understood this. The blacksmith who made the finest swords could charge whatever he wanted. Why? Because he had knowledge others didn't. Your path forward?
choose one skill. One skill that if you mastered it at the highest level would make you irreplaceable. Commit 1 hour every single day for the next year. In 12 months, you'll be in the top 1% of that skill. And the top 1% get paid like the top 1%.
Now we enter the shadows. This is where power becomes subtle, invisible, deadly. The third knowledge is about people. And here's the truth they don't want you to know. Everyone is driven by self-interest. I don't say this to make you cynical. I say this to make you effective. I once watched a man convince a billionaire to invest $2 million into his company. How? He didn't talk about his company. He talked about what the billionaire wanted: legacy, impact, being remembered. He didn't appeal to logic. He appealed to desire. The old texts, the ones passed down through royal courts, all say the same thing. People don't care what you want. They care what they want. Speak to their desires, and they'll follow you anywhere. Your move. In every conversation this week, listen more than you speak. 80% listening, 20% talking. Discover what people truly want beneath what they say. Master this, and you master influence.
The second principle of influence is ancient and powerful. Scarcity creates value. I knew a consultant who charged $200 an hour, couldn't get clients. Someone told him, triple your price and tell people you only take 3 clients per month. He did. Within 2 weeks, he had a waiting list. Nothing changed about his skill. What changed was perception. He became scarce, and humans always desire what seems just out of reach. The kings and queens of old never made themselves available. Why? Because availability destroys mystery, and mystery creates desire. Apply this. Stop being so available. Raise your standards. Raise your prices. Make people work to access you. Watch how quickly their perception of your value changes.
The third key is what the strategists called alliance over skill. I'll be blunt with you. It's not what you know. It's who knows you. I met a guy with average skills but incredible connections. In 5 years, he went from nobody to running a venture capital firm. How? Every person he met, he asked, "How can I add value to you?" He built relationships with people 10 steps ahead of where he was. When the time came, they brought him up with them. The scrolls of strategy say, "He who has allies controls the field." You can be brilliant and alone and go nowhere, or you can be average and connected and go everywhere. Your mission? This week, reach out to one person who is where you want to be in 5 years. Don't ask for anything. Offer value. Build a bridge. Success is not a solo journey. It's a networked game. The final law of influence is perhaps the most critical. Master your emotions, or they will master you. I watched a man lose $1 million deal because someone insulted him and he couldn't control his anger. I watched another man win a deal he had no business winning because he stayed calm when everyone else panicked. Emotional control is the difference between power and weakness. The ancient warriors trained their minds more than their bodies. Why? Because a sharp blade in a chaotic hand is useless
but a calm mind with a dull blade still wins. Practice this. Today, pause 3 seconds before reacting to anything. 3 seconds. In that space, you regain control. Do this for 30 days and you'll become a different person. We arrive at the final knowledge, the way of the warrior. First truth, know yourself better than your enemy knows you. I met a trader once, made millions, lost millions, made them again. I asked him how he survived the losses. He said, because I knew my weakness. I knew I'd panic, so I built systems around my weakness. Self-awareness is your greatest weapon. If you don't know where you're weak, your enemies will. The old strategists wrote, know yourself and know your enemy, and you will not fear 100 battles. But notice, it starts with yourself. Your homework, write down your top 3 weaknesses. Be honest, then create systems to protect yourself from them. Second principle, adapt or die. I knew someone who built a successful business doing one thing. The market shifted, he refused to change. This is what I know. This is what works. Within 2 years, he was broke. I knew another who built a business, saw the market shifting, and pivoted before anyone else saw it coming. He 10x'd his income in 18 months. Flexibility is strength. Stubbornness is death. The ancient strategists warned, the tree that bends survives the storm. The tree that's rigid breaks. Your challenge? Identify one belief or strategy you're clinging to that's no longer serving you. Let it go this week. Third law. Strategic retreat is not failure. Sometimes the best move is to step back, to preserve your resources, to regroup. I watched a man pour his life savings into a failing business because his ego wouldn't let him quit. He lost everything. I watched another man recognize when a venture wasn't working. He shut it down, took the loss, and moved to something else. 2 years later, he was thriving. The generals of old knew there is no shame in retreat if it means surviving to win another day. Your wisdom. If you're forcing something that isn't working, stop. Assess. Maybe it's not time yet. Maybe it's not the right path. Protect your capital. Protect your energy. Live to fight another day.
Fourth and final, continuous evolution. The most powerful people I've ever met never stop learning, never stop growing. They read, they study, they train their minds like athletes train their bodies. I met a billionaire once, still read 2 hours every day. I asked why. He said, the day I stop learning is the day I start dying. Your commitment. 20 pages every single day, or 30 minutes of learning, non-negotiable. Your mind is your most valuable asset. Invest in it like your life depends on it, because it does.
So now you have it. The knowledge that moves in shadows. The principles that build empires. But knowledge without action is just entertainment. And I didn't share this to entertain you. I shared it to change you. So here's your path for the next 30 days. Week 1, awareness. Audit everything. Your time, your money, your relationships, your skills. Write it all down. Look at it honestly. No lies, no excuses. What's moving you forward? What's holding you back?
Week 2, elimination. Cut one thing, one time waster, one toxic person, one bad habit. Cut it completely. Set boundaries, protect your energy. Week 3, implementation. Start one new income stream. Commit to one high-value skill. Reach out to one person who can elevate you. Take action, not tomorrow, this week. Week 4, momentum. Double down on what's working. Measure your progress, adjust what isn't working. Keep moving, because momentum is everything.
I'm going to leave you with this. There are two types of people in this world: those who know these principles and use them, and those who don't know and wonder why life feels like a rigged game. It is a rigged game, but not in the way you think. It's rigged in favor of those who understand the rules. And now, you understand the rules. The man I told you about at the beginning, the one with 17 companies, he told me something I'll never forget. He said, most people spend their whole lives playing a game they don't understand. They work hard, they're good people, but they never win because they never learn the real rules. And the real rules, they're hidden in plain sight, always have been. Now you've seen them. What you do next is up to you. Will you go back to sleep? Will you pretend you didn't hear this? Will you nod along and change nothing? Or will you take this knowledge and forge a new path? Because I'm telling you, apply even one of these principles with discipline and obsession, and your life will transform. Apply all of them, you become unstoppable. But remember what I said at the beginning. This is real power. Use it wisely. Use it with honor. Use it to build, not destroy. To elevate, not manipulate. The shadows hold knowledge, but light is where you apply it. Now go and become who you were always meant to be.
Like, comment, and subscribe for more.